Improvement Plan. This is report number 103/2024 in our packs. Members will note that the Bus Service Improvement Plan is before us for adoption as part of the Local Transport Plan. However, the members will see from the report that the BSIP has already been submitted to government. Members should be assured that the situation is not unique to Rutland County Council and is a result of the strict timelines set by central government. However, we still have a requirement for Council to formally adopt the BSIP. We'll just wait for Roger to go. Safe journey home, Roger. Councillor Wise, can I ask you to introduce the report and propose a motion, please?
Thank you, Chair. You've actually stolen most of my first paragraph, but as I've got it written, you're getting it in. Important to appreciate, this is a refresh of the existing BSIP that was written into 2021, and this refresh had to be prepared against a tight timeline and during significant staff changes. It is a credit to all involved that it was completed to a revised time schedule and led to the release of £486,280. Can't miss the 80. The reason for this document has come to Council is the Local Transport Plan, which includes the BSIP, is part of the Council's policy framework. I think it's the first time the BSIP has actually come to Council, so some people might be surprised to see it. The BSIP is a public document and is published on our website, so if people haven't got the council papers in front of them, they can go to our website to look at it. But when we submitted it, we warned it was a live document. In fact, I think it says it several times. And it was already started to evolve as more information becomes available. The main change from the earlier BSIP is to allocate £480,000 of the funding to support the new dynamic demand responsive transport service. That wrong time. Between 2025 and 2027. And you'll see that much of the capital for that comes from the Luff project. It also sets out our vision and how we wish to move forward from 2025 to 29. Most of you in this room will either have been involved with the earlier version or heard the plans of scrutiny, so I would prefer to answer questions if I can than go through the BSIP in detail. It's probably one of the shortest documents we had to read for this meeting, so I expect you'll skip to the end in joy. So I'll sit down now and we'll wait for questions.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Waller. I will now open up the debate, please. Councillor Payne.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate this is a sort of an evolving document, but note that the strategy in the east of the county, there are no changes in the document to the existing services that are currently provided. There is also a comment that this area of the county has access to demand responsive transport. This mode of transport, although accessible, is not well used because it frequently cancels at the last minute or just doesn't turn up. And honestly, this is not good if you have a long-awaited hospital appointment, a job interview or whatever else. Residents tell me they don't trust this service because it's unreliable, and I know this point was fed back in the residents' workshops that took place. Please, what assurance could the portfolio give me that these problems will be addressed and managed going forward, and that a reliable and trustworthy DRT service will be provided to underpin this strategy and make the most of the service available for residents in the east of Rutland? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Wise, would you like to come back?
The Bus Service Improvement Plan in front of you here doesn't contain all the details of the contracts that will be on the demand responsive transport. It is my belief that we won't have the same contract as we currently have with Call Connect, and I strongly suggest that there may be some clauses in any contract that is drawn up.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Councillor Stevenson and then Councillor Payne.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, and thank you for the clarification about how we find ourselves as a council approving adoption of something that's already been submitted. Some of these queries I'm not expecting to be answered live on the night, because I know that this has been a long time coming. You rightly point out it has had various portfolio holders' hands on it, not least mine, with moving Rutland forward at the local transport plan 4, not easy to say. My question though is, I think, does this mean that the document can actually be altered live and evolved? Because I think some of the points I'm going to make absolutely need to be able to be slightly tweaked so that they're clearer, and presumably that can then go on to the DFT, because I do appreciate the tight timelines. Couple of queries in no particular order. It's very fortuitous that Councillor Powell asked the question about parking, which we've had one answer telling us it's about sorting out or supporting our stretched budget, and yet in the BSIP it suggests that that isn't quite the case, and I quote, "Parking charges set with the consideration of the need to discourage car dependency." I would suggest that's a little bit harsh for a rural area. It's not as though we're in London where we can get the tube or the underground. We appear to be penalising drivers before there's a reasonable, equitable alternative. And my other concern is that potentially really damages our high street footfall. I'm sure it won't, because we've got brilliant high streets with great shops, but I do feel that that's made me a little bit twitchy. The next one that I want to pick up is on, it's page 16 of the BSIP, 694 of the council papers, a very, very laudable, aspirational paragraph. The new arrangements will ensure that people can travel to key destinations for work, health, education, training, leisure, shopping. I won't really read the whole lot. Really laudable. When I then look through at the tables, the overview table, and I'll come to their labelling in a second, I don't quite see the deliverability. So, for example, we're offering residents free fares during December 2024, but after 9:30, we definitely have people who need to get to work before 9:30. So that's something, if that could be looked at. The other thing as well with the overview table, improvement programmes 2025, I think that means 24-25, and then the next one is actually 25-26. We've got a promise to residents that all residents will have free transport from 2024. The impression given in those two tables, the question is that just a demand responsive offer? Is that the other bus services? We've then got schemes 5 and 6, and I will send you an email afterwards, Council-wide. Schemes 5 and 6, we've got low next to the costing accuracy. Does that mean that they're actually sort of fingers in the air costings? And I'll find the exact reference. Scheme, it's around the lower and simpler fares. Scheme 5, continue free fares on the DRT service. Linking into my question about free transport for all residents, is that just DRT? Continue free travel for young people. So we've got 100k, 40k, and it says costing accuracy rating is low. And then there's a high, and I don't know if low means we're not sure at all, or do you see? So that's one to take away. And generally, as I say, I sympathise with staff change. I sympathise with the
30 seconds to wrap up.
Oh, I will wrap up with the DFT. And I'm supporting this to be really, really clear, but I am concerned that the narrative, shall we say, doesn't match up with the figures. I'm concerned about the deliverability, and if we're reliant on the Moby Hub delivering a lot of the DRT, September 25 may be a little bit challenging, considering we need planning, procurement, and the joys of governance process.
Thank you. You are finished now.
I am
Thank you very
finished.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councillor Powell.
Thank you. Yes, generally, as it is, as you mentioned, Councillor Wise mentioned, this is a refresh, so I think we would definitely support the aspirations and the sentiments in this bus service improvement plan. Less car use, but an important feature of social mobility and for residents to be able to get around in a rural area with people who can't drive, who haven't got access to cars. So, and to discourage car use for an environmental point of view, they're all sort of good aspirations. And I think it maybe doesn't come out particularly strongly in this paper. One of the key struggles, as I'm sure my fellow councillors agrees, is for people to access health services, particularly those that are out of, well, all of our main hospitals are out of county. So I'd like to see a bit more joining up of the dots on that in terms of, proposed services and how that can be explored. But we all know the challenges of running bus services in rural areas with the disparate places that people are looking to be, get on a bus and get off a bus is a very tricky conundrum to solve. So I appreciate that, but certainly the health aspects I'd like to see a bit further explored. I was a bit puzzled again by the deliverability, certainly not repeating what Councillor Stevenson said, but actually we knew we had to do this in January, and appreciate the issues of staffing, but I think if we have something like this that we need to actually put in order to secure the funding, which has now sort of been released, I'm concerned that we need, these are the priorities that we need to meet. The one specific question is the delivery targets in the last section, and maybe that's something that can be reviewed. Are they dependent on the LUF funding and the Moby Hub, or are we able to deliver those even if there are further delays on the delivery of the Levelling Up Fund projects? Thank you.
Thank you. I will let you come back at the end and probably give you a little bit of extra time. I'm aware you're getting a lot of questions coming your way. Councillor Heckles, you were next.
I have a question on page 683. You were talking about the monitoring of progress. You're saying that the 2022 figures, 21-22 figures provide the baseline, but we haven't actually been provided with those figures. And also I do sort of feel that if you use 21-22 figures, that's going to be leading to a slightly inflated picture, as obviously this is a year before after COVID lockdown. So a lot of people were still working from home and they weren't using bus service. I think it would be slightly more representative if you used the 23-24 figures.
Thank you, Councillor Heckles. Any other debate? Anyone else would like to speak on this before I bring Councillor Wise back in? Aye. You're up, Councillor Wise.
Mark. Thank you, Chair. As Councillor Stevenson said, there were a lot of questions and I can't answer all of them. Some of them I need to go back to officers on. And some of them need a bit of detailed checking. I think I would like to start by saying I think this accepts, certainly I accept, we're not going to replace all car journeys with buses. That's just not going to happen. What we do have to remember is we have a large number of people in our county who don't have access to a car. They might move somewhere when they could drive, they can't any longer. And we need to find a way of getting them to health appointments in particular, which aren't next door to where they live. So this service has to work in that way for these people. We have to make sure it works in this way for those people. The developments are dependent on the buses bought with the lot funding. If the Moby Hub isn't ready, I believe we can still go ahead with the beginnings of the transformation. So it is the buses, not the building. It would be the icing on the cake if it all came together. And I'll tell you what, you won't need to cut the ribbon, I'll be leaping over it if we manage that. But we're not letting the building stop us putting this into place.
Yes, I haven't repeated. It was really about
the 2024, yeah, thank you. What we know of the numbers so far is there wasn't a huge ping back after COVID, and in fact the progression has been very, very slow. What there has been most increasing is people who have bus passes. So I suspect in a lot of cases they are people who don't have any other means of transport. So it is the people going into work that we need to try and attract. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. So the motion is that Council approves the recommendations set out in section 1.2 of report number 103/2024. So I'll ask all those in favour, please raise your hands.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Thank you. The motion is approved. So we come to item 16, which is any other urgent business. I've not been made aware of any urgent business for consideration. I can say that the next meeting of Council is on Thursday the 21st of November. So that concludes the business for the meeting, and thank you members. I declare that the meeting